Some warning signs for Donald Trump. The re-election campaign faces headwinds now in two key metrics: money and the votes they're going to need to gather. For finances, Donald Trump's being outraised by the current president, Joe Biden, by a wide margin. This is a big part of politics. You know that from following the news and primaries, but sometimes all the personality and hijinks and other things overshadow just the raw way this works. Biden now pulling in $90 million last month, Trump only doing 2/3 of that. And there is an incumbent advantage usually. We'll see if Biden benefits from that. But when you're running against the current president, you want to be equal or above them in money if you can. Biden's also more than doubled Trump's cash on hand. So I just showed you the new recent haul. When you look overall at what they have, well, the disparity is even starker. Now, you may have heard, you may know, Donald Trump certainly knows why there is this stark disparity. Part of it might be an enthusiasm gap among donors. The other part is the very unusual, unprecedented situation that defendant Trump is in. He is trying to run to recapture the White House, but he's sitting on over $500 million in combined legal fees, debts, penalties, however you want to bundle it all together. Trump has hosted a billionaire-packed fundraiser. He did that a couple days ago. He's trying to raise money, but people, rich, medium, and working class, because we know people sometimes give $10 or $15, all the people who usually give on the Republican side, well, they're aware that the money they're giving is not going solely to the campaign, that they have to decide whether they still want to give when they know 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar may be basically taken away from the campaign project that they support and put into Donald Trump's pocket to reimburse him for his own personal legal bills. Now, Trump did promise these ultra-wealthy people in attendance that they would basically get their money back if he wins, because he all but said it's a back and forth for low taxes. And that's not a new message for him.
Hi, Mr. President-elect.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll get your taxes down. No,
Thank you. We're cutting taxes for the middle class, and I will tell you, we are cutting them big league for the middle class.
We're lowering taxes, which the Republicans love.
Our plan will remove millions and millions of workers from the income tax roll entirely.
We're lowering taxes very substantially.
Now, when we talk about Donald Trump and when we show him saying things or how we deal with him, because he is not a traditional candidate, he breaks all kinds of rules, well, those are statements on tape that are basically true. I mean, candidates go back and forth in general about these things, but Donald Trump did say he would cut taxes, and he did make efforts to cut taxes and pass bills to that effect. The only quibble might be whether that was really emphasized for the middle class or not, because cutting taxes for billionaires is a promise Trump has kept. His wealthy donors do remember that. The campaign is reporting over the $50 million I mentioned, but that's not going to clear out the legal bills. Now, the Biden campaign is jumping on this very issue. So I mentioned this is the top story. We're going to the general election here. They posted this video hours after the Trump fundraiser.
When he thinks the cameras aren't on, he tells his rich friends, quote, "We're going to give you tax cuts." That makes me mad as hell, quite frankly.
The hypocrisy is just outrageous. This is what he says to his billionaire friends, not quite what he's saying at his rallies.
We have a plan, asking his good buddies to begin to pay their fair share.
We covered last week how we had that Sanders-Biden meetup, and while you might look at the style and the TikTok and say, okay, what are they going after here? On substance, they're trying to connect with people who actually are thinking about their pocketbook and looking at these issues. And, well, some of these donors we reported that are flocking back to Trump are doing so apparently for the taxes or the money advantage they think they're going to get. Some of these people previously said he was unacceptable, or he was an autocrat, or he should be punished or jailed for Jan 6. So as the Biden campaign brings in those allies, Republicans are being pretty strident. They've actually spent the last several months scolding any holdouts that it's time to get behind Trump.
We support President Trump. We support his policies. And any Republican that isn't willing to adapt these policies, we are completely eradicating from the party.
It is time to unite, to get behind President Trump.
Look, it's time to unite. I'll be supporting President Trump 100%.
Now, that's not a coincidence. You probably know the term talking point. It's called that because they distribute them and they try to get people to say them. And this is, again, a Trump approach. There are different politicians who say, oh, well, if Nikki Haley was getting 1 out of 5 votes or more, maybe you want to have an olive branch or have a meeting. That's not the Trump way. They're using this talking point and a whole battery of public and private pressure to basically say, think about how this is going to affect you. If you're on the wrong side of this one, a Trump second term has been promised to be more vengeful, dictator some days of the week and all that. And they're basically posting a demand for any reluctant Republicans to get in line. Here's a quick line from one of the wealthiest donors.
It's time for Republicans, including those who doubt him or even can't stand him, to get behind him.
Now, we could talk about what it means when even your supporter video has to acknowledge there are people who literally can't stand you, quote unquote. And Trump has concerns here. He is hemorrhaging support in those crucial swing states. More than 1 in 5 Republican voters in places like Ohio, Arizona. It actually jumps to 15% in Georgia. These polls, as I've told you, when you look at the vote share, the primary votes, or what's going to happen in November, none of this is determinative. None of this tells you exactly what's going to happen. But we do see when the public messaging is this desperate, hey, I know you don't like him, please support him, it reflects them reading the same data. Now, Nikki Haley has, of course, dropped out. There is no organized Republican challenger in some of those states where people still didn't want to just put their name down for Trump. And that's in a Republican primary. Beyond the base, Donald Trump is struggling to figure out what the message is for November. The tax cuts does work for some people. Republicans, to be fair and clear, have run on tax cuts for a very long time. But there are broader issues here. There are the investigations into Joe Biden, which kind of had an echo of the Ukraine scandal, where it has more than kind of doubled back or not worked. In fact, it's kind of tarred some Republicans. The criminal probe of 2025 doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And so what you're left with is a big question. If Donald Trump is behind in these Republican states I mentioned, meaning he's not consolidated full Republican support, which is a prelude to trying to get independents and swing voters, and if he hasn't gotten enough money as the current president, and if this election year is anything like the past, where there is an incumbent advantage, political scientists actually measure that, meaning you might say Biden's not super popular or people don't love him. We've covered that. That's a part of this. That's just a reality according to what people are saying. But if you add all those things together, the money edge, the incumbent edge, and the message edge right now, if tax cuts is the biggest thing they're talking about, the question is Trump on a path to losing to Joe Biden again?
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.